So the other day I did a video talking about the suburbs again, and I made a comment about a nearby, I was focusing on a suburb in St. Louis, and I was focusing on a nearby farm that was close to that subdivision and talking about scenarios. And I made the point that I would go, like at about 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, I'd take some stuff from that farm. And I made the mistake of not telling you that this was not a farm, because some of you left comments, you were like, how in the world could you suggest such a thing? Why would you go steal from someone else? I'm very sorry. I made that. I misinterpreted that. This is not a farm. This is a county park paid for by my tax dollars. Well, when I lived there, I did. But yeah, it's a county park. It's a petting zoo, basically. You go in there and you feed the goats and you feed the ducks and you feed the chickens and you throw food and if you fish, you can fish. If you have a license, you can go fish there. The ponds are stocked. Anyone can come in. There's playgrounds for the kiddos. It's not a farm. I'm sorry that I did not provide the correct distinction because it really did make me look bad. I'm very sorry for that. Very, very sorry, because a lot of you guys were like, Zach, I can't believe you suggested such a thing. No, this is a petting zoo. And there are places like that around in different towns and stuff. And those places indeed will be quickly pilfered. It's just food sitting there. And it's paid for by tax dollars. So I'm going to get my chicken. That's my chicken. And it's correct. I mean, that's how the people should look at it, because it is what it is. And, the animals are, if no one's going to take care of them anymore in a grid down without rule of law situation, Anyway, that is what it is. But it also brings up the topic of, because we see this from time to time in the homesteading community and in the prepper sphere about, people who say, you know what? When times get tough, I'll just go out to the rural areas and I'll steal all from them because they've got all the goods. And we see this in movies and in media today. Example would be, what was the name of that Daniel Craig movie? Some of you guys will leave a comment below. Where it's these Jews and the Germans are trying to kill them, and they're living in Belarus, and they go out to the rural areas and they steal from farms out there. And that's what will happen. People who have not will take from the haves. It's just something that we see all throughout history. And let me tell you that there are people in rural America who are ready for you, and there are some people in rural America who aren't. But the people who are ready for you will thin you out if you get that far anyway, because long before you get to the land of the AR-15 or the land of the gun show, which I mentioned is the suburbs today, because there's a lot of people out there ready, to defend life and liberty and life and limb. And so a lot of people are going to get thinned out who want to go out to the country. You're never even going to get there. If you do manage to get there and you have those ill intentions, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard getting through and getting by, because there are people who won't, I tend to believe that people are generally good. People are generally good. You know why? Because, they understand what it feels like when someone steals from you. They understand what it feels like when someone cheats you. When someone hurts you, it's that feeling of being violated. And so because they have, listen, I'm agreeing with you, all hearts are wicked, and you can look up that Bible verse. I'm not going to quote that here and start preaching to people. But the reality is, if you talk to someone and they will start nodding when you tell them that lying is wrong, that stealing is wrong, because their subconscious understands the hurt that it feels when someone does that to them. And for the most part, people have that sort of moral code still in America. We're losing it. Don't doubt me. We are losing that. But if you show up at a lot of these places and do things that are against the moral code of people, they will deal with you. And it's going to be shoot, shovel, and shut up. And in my case, I'm just going to feed you to my chickens because they need food, and chickens will eat anything. And so chicken food, woohoo! So understand that people will often talk about, well, I'll just go out to the rural areas and I'll steal from their gardens and steal from their crops and steal from their animals. You're going to die. It's just that simple. Someone's going to put a bullet in you, and they're not going to think twice about it, and they're going to sleep fine that night. because in their minds, they're cleaning up the mess that society should have taken care of a long time ago, back before you got to their place. So understand that, yes, this does come up from time to time, and it's an unfortunate reality of what we're going to have to deal with in a grid down situation. Consider this my last video of talking about, what to do in a collapse. We started out in the city, okay? We moved from the city and we moved out to the county, and now we're kind of in the rural areas. And without getting into too much OPSEC about, how to defend yourself, and I am getting into sort of a series. I wasn't posting on my Patreon page for a while. I'm just kind of getting things in order around here. And so I started posting on my Patreon page. We're going through a series, and I'm waiting for something to come in the mail before I make the next video on that, talking about security and things like that. Because the reality is it's going to get bad everywhere. And I've said this before on my channel. It's going to be a giant crap sandwich, and we're all going to have to take a bite. How big of a bite you take is going to depend on how much you prepare. What is your mental fortitude? How do you have a positive attitude on life in general? And who you choose to have around you in these days. Listen, if you have people around you that you can't live with in good times and bad times, it's going to be even worse. So it's like, how are you preparing your life? How are you preparing your homestead? And what is just your overall mental outlook on things? Get these things in order. And you're going to have a better time of it. And again, it's still going to be a giant crap sandwich, and we're all going to have to take a bite of it. Because the reality is, I'm looking at the economic situation, guys. It can't last. Something like this will not stand. And just being a student of history, things like this have collapsed many times before. When greed and lack of justice is so pervasive in a society like it is today in ours, especially in our leadership and in our country's capital, that will not stand. It cannot succeed. It is, and I know there are people out there who say, this is all part of their plan. Listen, in reality, they're lizard people, Zach. In reality, they're just as human as you and I are. However, they have a demented outlook on life, and that demented outlook will not succeed. It will fail, and it will bring all of us down with it. So how are you going to prepare? How are you going to deal with it? Leave a comment below and let me know how you're going to deal with it. Let me know if I'm off base here. And let me know if you thought I was talking about stealing from the farmer. I really feel bad about that. I'm not going to steal from a farmer. That would be horrible. The tax-paying, county park that I paid for? Oh, yes. You are open season, pal. It's my tax dollars. All right, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, guys. See you next time on the Homestead. Bye. It's 2023, and the banks are continuing to struggle and fail. The bottom line on why our country is in so much financial trouble is that we have for years not lived within our means. Government spending in Congress is out of control, and government printing of US dollars has reached no limits. For only the second time in history, we have more debt than our GDP. That means we owe more money than our country is actually worth. See, it used to be said that the US dollar was backed by the gross domestic product. But when the debt exceeds that amount, it's no wonder why so many countries are now refusing to trade in that ever increasingly worthless currency. That's why you need to safeguard your wealth. You've worked and saved your entire life, and now it's all at risk. Genesis Gold Group is a faith-based business that will help you move your assets into physical gold and silver. Precious metals have stood the test of time during economic failures all throughout history. Call Genesis Gold Group today and let them develop a strategy for your savings, 401k, or self-directed IRA. A strategy of physical gold and silver. You can call the number on the screen or visit them at genesisgoldgroup.com and be sure to say you heard about them from an American Homestead. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.